And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the deck. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
Well, you know what they say. When the parents are away, the kids will play. My brother Jacoby's on vacation with his lovely family.
Shout out.
Hopefully he's having a lot of adult beverages. The kids are eating good. The wife is enjoying herself, getting a tan. But work still has to be done. And I'm in studio for the second time in 7 years without David Jacoby. So I needed reinforcements when I decided to still give the people what they want. So I looked down at my phone and I was like, you know, I need somebody that could come co-host this show with me that is not only familiar with the audience and vice versa, but represents Chi-Town to the fullest, used to work at Wrigley Field growing up, and just so happens to hear his name when he's not listening even on this program because I've talked about their show for 5 years.
And when he is listening.
His name is Joesph Sikora.
Yo, I play the guy on the show that does the work because work does need to be done.
And work does need to get done when Tommy steps into the fold. So welcome to the program, my brother.
Yo, pleasure to be here, Jalen. Thanks for having me.
So at 12:01, Saturday into Sunday, this past weekend, I was watching the new show. And I wanted to talk to you about a few relationships.
Hit me.
That I was just trying to get you to untangle for me. What's going on with this new Ghost and Angela, relationship? They seeing eye to eye again and a little too intimate for my taste.
Well, relationships are hard. I think that when we're at low points in our lives, even those awful relationships for us start looking good again. Just say you broke up with that woman. She's crazy. Jalen, she's crazy. How many times I tell you she's crazy?
You know it.
But you know what? You're having a bad day. Look at Ghost. He's having a couple, 2-3 drinks. You know what's good? Let me just scroll through the phone here. You're Angela. That seemed to work out at one point. You're a little delusional. Boom. You hit the call button. It's the worst move you ever made, man.
Absolutely. And Angela's playing double agent literally because now her and Tasha seeing eye to eye because Tasha want to make sure she keep Tariq out of jail.
Oh, I mean, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen is those two getting together. But who's playing who? That's another thing, too. And my favorite part is that Angela thinks she's got Tommy in the fold now, but she's actually doing the work for Tommy.
That's where I was going. Like, my head exploded when you looked down at the phone and it was her and you answered. And, of course, you told her never to call you again. But what was going on in your mind when you saw her name and number on the phone?
Well, when I see some of the stuff in the script, I go, what in the hell is going on here? But at the same time, I think that what you try to do is you try to get in the mentality of a guy who for 5 seasons has said, I'm not a snitch. I'd rather die than work for the government. The only way I'm going out is in a body bag. So, you have to try to play that mentality. And so what I did was I just said, look, you know what I mean? She's getting that work done for me. Let's just see how far she can go. Otherwise, maybe she's going to have to get got.
And of course, this is a spoiler alert. But again, I have to, because I have this esteemed gentleman in the studio to continue to ask him a couple of questions about the show that we all know and love. Now, let's talk about a couple of father-son relationships.
Uh-oh.
Your father just got out of jail.
That's true.
Okay?
That's true.
Now, you were wondering why they were letting him out. You were a little cautious about him getting out. You go from having life in jail to all of a sudden you back out on the street, and all of a sudden he riding around in the Mustang with you.
Well, you know what? To quote one of our favorite artists, KRS-One.
The teacher.
Criminal-minded, you've been blinded. So I think that he's a little blinded from the old man getting out the joint. I think that, because I had my father in my life, I was lucky enough to my whole life. When I talk to people who didn't have their fathers in their lives, they said that just the prospect of having this person back in your life is just such a huge and overwhelming thing. And not only that to see your dad, I'm not talking, sports, which would be a common thing, but it's kind of like, your dad and you, boy, you're into baseball, I'm into baseball.
Yes.
So with Tommy, it's like, yo, you can deal drugs? I deal drugs. You know, you're a criminal. I'm a criminal.
We have a lot in common.
We got so much in common. Maybe we should do something. You know what? I know this sounds crazy, but maybe we should do something together.
Why
so
wouldn't we?
He's given him the benefit of the doubt, and he's also, again, he's at a really low point where he needs to make some rash decisions to start building back his empire.
Your godson. Okay.
Oh, my God. Oh, my
goodness. He's hanging out with Kanan. He's sending Ghost a voicemail. Talk about that father-son dynamic. It's just taking a lot of twists and turns.
Absolutely. I think that it does reflect society, though. Like, these are the times, especially with teenagers, saying, my father doesn't know anything. These people that were in my life for so long don't know anything. And you look to your heroes, which are sometimes not the best role models. I think that we place this title of role model on people who don't ask to be called role models and don't want to be a role model for you. Sometimes, like, let's just say your favorite artists or your favorite athletes. You know, you can do that, but that's on you. That's your responsibility of your thoughts onto them. So you're projecting. So these people who actually do love you and have known you your whole life, you may want to listen to them. But, you know, I didn't. So I don't think that kids will. And I think that Courtney Kemp and Gary Lennon, our showrunners, they do a wonderful job of making the people reflect society.
That reflection plays out in Kanan's role.
Oh, well, my gosh, 50 Cent is, but 50's great in the show. He's great in the show, but he is playing a little bit of the character of 50 Cent. Because we all have, you know, you've met,
no question.
You have met
been
Curtis
on this
Jackson.
Show.
Curtis Jackson III is a very different person than 50 Cent, but that 50 Cent, I mean, led that life. He was about that life.
True.
So he is manifesting real energy that he needed to be in those streets, and I think that he does an incredible job of making it entertaining and scary as hell.
And I'll be fully decompressed after I ask about one more relationship. Andre and the Jimenez.
Oh my God, both of them. Both brothers.
How about that? How about that? So he now teams up with them. You know, Kanan acts like he's going to work with you and Ghost to combat what they're doing. And you have Senator Tate putting him in a room with Ghost. Just, what do you see in that dynamic?
Well, I think I see that he wishes he was Senator Tate, but Councilman right over here.
Oh, yeah, Councilman Tate.
I think that politicians that Lorenz Tate who plays Councilman Tate is doing a wonderful job of showing the kind of the ego and the arrogance of a lot of the people in our political system, unfortunately.
Yes.
But I think that you know, it's a pretty interesting dynamic with Rotimi, who plays Dre. I think he's doing a great job of trying to build himself up and kind of fulfill his position as the plug, but also negotiate between these two very different sexual energies that are kind of coming toward him, and two different kind of boss dynamics that he has to balance. So he's got a lot on his plate, but unfortunately he's doing a better job than Tommy at the moment.
Absolutely. And last relationship, a couple of attorneys. Proctor.
Oh my God, I love him. Jerry Ferrera, he's great.
He's my guy as well. He's in a twisted situation, and he's trying to keep his daughter. You know, his ex is coming back into his life. He don't know if she's gonna relapse, if she gonna take her to court. She's trying to take his daughter away, trying to stay out of jail. His situation's gotten twisted.
It's gotten twisted, you know, and such is life, right? Life imitates art, imitates life, imitates art. So I think that we can find a lot of these things not only in our backyard, but on the news and all around us. So I think Jerry does a great job of trying to balance that too. And also, he's been forced into a really precarious situation. He knows that if he crosses anybody, Tommy, who really does like the guy, is just going to off him. I mean, Tommy's that scary energy. And then also Ghost, he's got who he has, you know, feels like he is a friend to, which is a mistake. And then also his family. So he's got a lot to balance this season as well.
Well, you've done a good job of intimidating him. You only stabbed somebody to death in his kitchen.
Right. Good job. Come on. That's not a C. That's not even a C+. That's an A+ right there. Yeah, so he did. I think Tommy intimidated the hell out of him.
And one character, not personal at all, but I feel like this might be the person that you, in particular, your character and or Ghost, y'all gonna find a way to off this guy. Terry Silver.
Terry Silver. You cannot get away with banging Tasha.
I know!
What is gonna happen to Terry Silver?
I know! I'm like, is this dude serious?
Brandon Victor Dixon, excellent job. Yes, I can't believe that. I can't believe he had the chutzpah to get in there.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And then come back.
Yes, indeed. So everybody stay locked into the show. You all know it's my favorite. And we appreciate you taking the time and energy. Now I feel decompressed. Woosah.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I'm as happy as a clam.
Disclaimer. Geico cannot guarantee you will be, quote, as happy as a clam, unquote. The Geico legal team cannot accurately verify clams even experience the complex human emotional state known as happiness. As an invertebrate mollusk living half submerged on the ocean floor with no arms, legs, or wireless access, what's there to be happy about? A clam's all like, oh, I'm so happy I didn't get turned into New England clam chowder today. Pronounced regionally as chowder. Chowder. Oh, that's so fun to say. What were we talking about again?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Let's talk about LeBron James for a second. He's always making big-time moves. Now a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. He's been tweeted by the President of the United States. Now he's executive producing a documentary for Showtime called Shut Up and Dribble, where LeBron James explores the responsibilities of athletes and public figures as it relates to not only giving back to their communities, but to having a voice. As someone that's been doing this industry for 30 years.
30 years? It's true.
You could get your retirement at this point.
That's right. My pension would have kicked in.
How about that? How do you feel about this project? And do you feel like athletes, celebrities, entertainers, it's their right or duty to try to follow in these level of footsteps?
Well, I think that even, you just mentioned artists and entertainers. I think that it's more of a socioeconomic factor. You know what I mean? We can go to, how about CEOs? How about people that are running, multi-billion-dollar corporations, but they're just not in the public eye? I think there's something about being in the public eye that there's more expected and more demanded because people have, they have like, I know this person, they're on my TV every Thursday. They're in my living room. So therefore they owe me maybe a little bit something more. So I think that when you're at a certain level of monetary income, I would hope that people would be a little bit more philanthropic or feel a little bit more like that I could give, but I don't necessarily know if we have to see that. I think that people expect actors and entertainers, musicians to say, hey, look, I'm doing this because they're in the public eye more. So we're expected sometimes to show our charity in a public arena sometimes. So I don't necessarily agree with that, but I think what LeBron is doing is an amazing thing. I think that rather than an entertainer or, an athlete, let's just say, buying something expensive, maybe they could, create an $18 million school,
Right. Absolutely. And the thing about, philanthropic endeavors, it has to be from the heart, things that you're passionate about, but more importantly, things that you're knowledgeable about. And we talked about this. It's up to the individual if they want it to be known for public consumption. You do a lot of things in the community that you don't necessarily discuss.
That's true.
But in LeBron's case, as the founder of a school, it's really important for him to get that word out and do interviews and to talk about it and make it something for the conversation so other people want to try to 100%. Follow his lead.
Because it's so meaningful to him, and it should be meaningful to all of us, but because it is meaningful to him because he's the one who built it, I think that is a trickle-down theory that's positive because it comes from the top, he's leading by example.
And that's really to be commended for LeBron James. On to the next. So the North Carolina football team was issued multiple things, items, gear, shoes in particular, which we know have become collector's items almost nowadays.
Oh yeah, people standing making lines around the block here in New York when new sneakers come.
So those players who are on scholarship and are not allowed to get jobs got that gear, and they decided they wanted to sell it for a profit. They got suspended because they were self-reported by the university. Now they're going to miss a few games headed into the season. What do you think about that? And if you were in those student athletes' position and you were given this level of gear, knowing it was possibly illegal if you sell it, would you consider doing it?
Yes, I would do it. You know what I mean? Like, let's put this into perspective. A lot of kids, for better or for worse, that are getting drafted onto these college teams, they don't come from really incredible socioeconomic backgrounds. So now I'm being thrown this opulence of sneakers and gear and saying, okay, here's all of this stuff. Well, what are you going to do? Wear it one day? That's almost disrespectful to the stuff anyway. It should be like this. In my opinion, they should be getting paid. They should be getting compensated in some way because the revenue that they're bringing into the institution is unbelievable amount. I don't know if that to piggyback on our charity topic from before, maybe that gets channeled into a charity of their choice or a charity of their family's choice. But they're given, 10, 20 pairs of sneakers. It's kind of a wink, wink, nod, nod of like, hey, we can't pay you, but here's 20 pairs of Nikes.
Absolutely. And also for the players, you get put in an awkward spot. And as somebody that's been a collegiate athlete, you appreciate the scholarship. You appreciate all of the things that the university does for you. However, they're not paying you monetarily. Mm-hmm. And so when you give me these goods that are like collector's items, that are like antiques that other people want, and you have the opportunity to sell them after they were gifted to you, it just seems like a natural exchange that I should be able to do whatever I want to do with something that somebody gave me.
They gave them to you. That's a contingency on a gift. Nobody likes, here, look, like when, just say your parents, bought you a gift. They're like, okay, here's this used car, but you can only take it out for 2 hours a day and you have to do this. And it's just like, you know what? Keep your car. I'm going to make my own money and buy my car. It's like you don't give gifts with contingencies.
We're staying in college here. The Ohio State University right now is dealing with a serious topic as it relates to domestic violence. One of their former assistant coaches named Zach Smith was fired by the university for committing acts of domestic violence against his wife. The university has said it's going to take them 14 days to figure out their investigation before they decided how they were going to rule. In the meantime, there were 100 fans or so outside in Columbus that were protesting for the head coach of the university, Urban Meyer, and basically acknowledging that they hope that he remain to be the head coach of their football team. What are your thoughts on them taking this stance at this point in the investigation?
Well, I think that there is a huge amount of responsibility on Urban Meyer, quite honestly, because, if you're going to take the good, you have to take the bad as well. You got to be responsible for both parts, or you let well enough stand alone. And he didn't. I mean, he took credit, he put himself in the mix when things are going great. So, even if you just say like some other topic like the Catholic Church, I'm a Catholic, I'm a practicing Catholic, and I love the Catholic Church. I'm not okay with priests molesting young boys, and people that covered up for those priests are just as responsible as the priests. I mean, it's a criminal act. So, you are guilty by association on these things. And I think that, you can protest all you want, however many people, the 94 people that came out that day, whatever they have to say. But I think that the bigger picture is that, you have to be responsible.
And we saw this take place in Penn State with Joe Paterno.
Yes, even worse.
Jerry Sandusky. The same with Art Browse and Baylor. Ultimately, when you're in a position of power, you can't suppress information that probably was detrimental to somebody else, especially in a situation where domestic violence was allegedly involved between one of his coaches, who he and his wife, Shelly, at points of their relationship, acknowledged that they actually counseled them as a young couple in 2009. These are the allegations for 2015. So for him to still potentially be on your staff is now why he's under fire.
100%. And like you said, you can't do it. Well, I think that you can do it. You just have to be ready to accept the consequences if you did it. And that's a big if. So if you did it. Now, if you didn't, you got nothing to worry about. If you did, you're responsible for your actions.
Well said. A British Airways worker claims he was fired for having a man bun because it didn't fit under their company policy. Are man buns cultural or regional?
I think it's a cultural thing. I mean, the poor guy should have been fired for having a man bun, but he shouldn't have been fired by his job. I'm not a fan of the man bun, but you can't fire somebody for style. Not these days. With that was wrong.
I agree with you. I think it's cultural. But do you think British Airways should allow a man bun, or is it best for all of us that they just don't allow this so it goes away?
I mean, I think it's probably best that they don't allow this, but I think they should allow it. I just think that people should know that does not look good.
Come on, British Airways, get a man his job back.
Give the man his job back.
No
British
question
Airways.
about it. Now let's go to Carolina, where their quarterback, Cam Newton, was criticized by one of his former receivers this week. Kelvin Benjamin, currently of the Buffalo Bills, who basically said he would rather have gotten drafted by any of the 31 other teams and to play by a quarterback that was more accurate and more intelligent than Cam Newton.
Well, I mean, it's these guys are phenomenal athletes. They're both, in incredible physical shape, 6'5", 240. Benjamin's kind of like a bigger.
Hold on. And this actually is universal, because when you're not pushing yourself away from the dinner table and you show up at camp looking like he did last year, all of a sudden you think that you're the kind of target that your quarterback is going to be able to find. But however, they wasn't able to connect last year the way he felt they should. And by the way, the year that they went to the Super Bowl, the year that Cam won MVP, they were 15-1. So Cam performed better when he wasn't in the lineup. Lastly, there's a dating event called Pheromone Party, where singles try to match using only their noses.
Ooh.
People put out their shirt in the bag. They smell each other's shirts and see which ones they're naturally attracted to. Joesph.
Yeah.
Soft move or boss move? Smelling your date before you meet them.
Nah. That's a stank move. I'm not about that move at all, man. I don't know if I think that's universal, but that's universally raw. I'm not about that. Ugh.
I'm trying to figure who comes up with this. Second, who would participate in this? And if you don't like the way someone smells, should that affect the fact that you may want to be in a relationship with them? Because there are times now when you're in a relationship, you're a married man.
Sometimes you gotta learn that smell, though. Sometimes they gotta earn that smell. You know what I'm saying?
Now it's time to play one of my favorite games. It's time to keep it moving.
We be moving, we keep it moving.
So here's how this topic in this game works. Some of the things in sports and entertainment are worth our time, are worth our energy. And if you care a little bit about it or a lot about it, you just say hit the brakes.
Right.
But if you don't, Method Man and I, along with you, of course, we'll just keep it moving.
Keep it moving, gonna keep it moving. Jalen Rose, man, he gonna keep it moving.
Joel Embiid, star center of the Philadelphia 76ers, said he's motivated by his ex-general manager's wife's tweets about weaknesses in his game. He says he channels that energy because it makes him better.
You know what? Let's hit the brakes on that one. I think it's a positive thing to be able to channel that kind of energy into something positive. Now, as somebody who's been in anger management for many years, I think the ultimate is actually just ignoring this topic. Let it come in and let it work on yourself. You don't have to let everybody know. You don't have to re-like the tweets from the burner phone, which you did, which is cool, but it's cool. But that is the penultimate, is that he took something that was negative and changed it into something positive, and I think that a lot of people can learn from that.
And if he can stay healthy, he's going to be an MVP candidate. He's going to be over 20 points. He's going to be over 2 boards. He's going to be in a conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. Philadelphia 76ers are clearly on the rise. Next up, the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, has a little brother that's really talented. He's 16, and his game is so advanced, his older brother now says he's the second best basketball player in the family. Hit the brakes or keep it moving?
Let's keep it moving after I say this. Giannis is one of the best in the game.
We keep it moving.
So you're 16 years old. Let's everybody take a deep breath and have some fun. I think this was a wink, wink, nod, nod. He's 16. He's better than his brother. Maybe, but not now.
Not now. Agreed. Also, next, Gilbert Arenas, formerly of the Washington Wizards, finally breaks his silence. It opens up about a locker room incident he had with one of his former teammates, Javaris Crittenton, that involved a gun. Hit the brakes or keep it moving?
Hit the brakes.
Figured you liked that one.
Yeah, now listen, I mean, it's right up my alley, you know what I'm saying?
So let me give you a little background.
Yes, this is what I need.
Let me give you a little background. So basically, Gilbert Arenas says JaVale McGee actually won the game of Boo Ray. Jarvis Crittenton wanted a chance to win his money back. Gilbert threatened Crittenton. Jarvis came with the over-the-top threat. He even had the nerve, in Gilbert's estimation, to say he was going to shoot him. So you know what Gilbert did? He decided, since you were going to shoot me, I'm going to bring guns to the locker room to allow you that opportunity.
Well, there's the old expression of put your money where your mouth is, or maybe it's lose your money and see what the gun has your mouth saying afterwards.
I like what you did there.
But also, let's say let's put in perspective who has the attempted murder charges on the baby mama. You know what I'm saying?
This is true.
So it wasn't the man that brought the gun to the game. It was the man who said, "You got the guts to do this? Go do it. Let's see what you got." So I think that's. Look, man, just as both of us being Power fans, he's got some guts right there.
I know, right?
Some balls.
No question. Next up, Jarvis Landry, newly of the Cleveland Browns, is friends with Odell Beckham Jr., wide receiver of the New York Football Giants, who is trying to figure if he's going to play to begin the season because he hasn't gotten a new contract. So his good friend goes on wax and says Odell wouldn't mind joining the Cleveland Browns, even though they were 0-16 last season. Hit the brakes or keep it moving?
Let's hit the brakes on that because that gives us one opportunity to say, all right, Cleveland, like what's the income of the team on Cleveland? So what is this? Because we're talking, with Odell Beckham Jr., we're talking salary caps is kind of the topic at large here. And so which team is going to be able to pay him? You might say, oh, his contract didn't close and maybe Cleveland can pay him more. That may not be the case because there are rules in order, but then again, rules are made to be broken. So
this is true. And I think Odell loves the stage of New York City. Next up, a Michigan man starts an Amish Uber horse and buggy service. Hit the brakes or keep it moving?
Let's just say keep it moving really, really slow.
I like what you did there.
We keep it moving up.
One of my favorite MCs, The Game, I actually got a chance to play basketball with him, fought one of his own teammates in a Drew League game.
I saw this clip.
Hit the brakes or keep it moving?
Let's talk about this one a little bit briefly because I did see the clip. I got to say, look, and that's... See, that we got it in reverse. So my man, The Game, is an orthodox fighter, which I always appreciate. Look at that. Well, actually, he went southpaw and then he went orthodox. He's a big man. So, love it or hate it, the underdog was on top right there.
I like what you did there. Aaron Donald holdout continues with the Rams. Hit the brakes or keep it moving?
I want to see Method Man. What's he got to say about it?
Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Last but not least, for the first time ever, the NFL will have male cheerleaders. Hit the brakes or keep it moving?
Oh, man, let's hit the brakes on this one a little bit. Because I will say this. It's lovely to watch the girls. And in this, I'm sorry, look at the picture, look at this screen. That's really sweet. I think that sometimes we need to see things just to see if they succeed or fail, possibly miserably. But everybody deserves a shot. Maybe it's not something that you or I necessarily would want to watch, but we'll see. You know what talks? Money. So
yes, it does.
Exactly. So we'll see if the people who are paying to watch the games are interested in the male cheerleaders, but everybody deserves a shot.
But this is a unique move for the NFL because they've become under fire by some accusations of former cheerleaders of multiple teams suing them for alleged behavior that was unbecoming of a professional environment. So for them to initially take this step, I think is one to help combat that. So I will applaud them. It's going to be interesting to see if this becomes something that's mainstream. It's one thing to actually introduce it. It's something if they're going to actually now have it to where each team has a couple of male cheerleaders, not because they're male or female, because they're actually good at what they do.
That's nice.
And that's what we welcome in this country.
Are they going to get changed in the same dressing room?
No.
Okay.
That's not going to happen.
Inappropriate.
One of the things about giving the people what they want, matter of fact, giving them what they need, Tommy, because I see you in character, looking at your eyes. It's taking voicemails. Reggie, cue up the first voicemail.
Jalen and Jacoby, what up, though? This is Pasquale calling from the amazing state of New Jersey. Shout out to Jersey. Obviously, shout out to Reg. This is the second time I'm leaving this voicemail because Jacoby said last week that Reg probably only listens to the first 5 voicemails anyway, so I figured if I'm going to be successful, I got to be persistent. So this is the second time I'm leaving this voicemail. But I was reaching out to you guys. First off, just shout out to you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys make my day so much better. Love listening to the pod. TV shows good too, but nothing like a dope pod to step to. So shout out to you guys. So I have a question. I know you guys fancy yourselves hip-hop aficionados, as do I. Obviously, being from the East Coast, we know that East Coast is Beast Coast when it comes to hip-hop. So my question to you guys is this. In your opinion, both of you, what borough in New York gave birth to the greatest hip-hop collective of artists? I know that obviously Queens, Nas, Mega, obviously Bronx, Boogie Down, you got KRS and Pun, and Brooklyn, you got Biggie and Jay-Z, obviously Staten Island, Wu-Tang Clan. And so for me, a majority of my top 5 dead or alive come out of Queens, but my favorite rapper of all time is Big Pun. So it's always been tough for me. But I wanted to hear from you guys. In your honest opinion, which borough gave birth to the greatest collective of hip-hop artists we've ever seen? I love you guys. Keep getting them checks. Keep giving us a dope pod to step to. And hopefully Reg will hook me up. God bless you guys.
Wow.
It's tough.
That was loaded. First and foremost, I'm not touching that.
I mean, you can't touch that, and especially because you're going to offend anybody. We had some great groups from Staten Island. I mean, from Long Island too. EPMD,
yes,
Biz Markie, arguably Rakim.
No question about it. And then you start talking about the Boogie Down Bronx, KRS-One.
Of course, you can't beat the Boogie Down Bronx. And he didn't even. I mean, Big Pun, but he didn't mention Fat Joe.
No question.
Who was one of my favorites.
And then you got Brooklyn, what they had, Jay, you got Big.
Yeah. And then, of course,
Joesph,
and this man's own state. He doesn't mention Jersey. He doesn't mention Queen Latifah. He doesn't mention, he doesn't, Redman.
Yeah, look out, the Funkadelic Funk for Chunks, don't be knowing my name. Ooh,
Naughty by Nature.
Not because I hate you. And in 91 and 92, shout to Naughty, shout to Queen Latifah. I was fortunate enough to attend the Naughty Picnic in East Orange, New Jersey, and hang out with the crew. I got a throwback picture that's just classic.
Man, not bad for a man who is not down with OPP no more.
I like what you did there. Kick it to the next voicemail, Reg.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Nick from Detroit. I had a couple questions. So, Jalen, this one's for you. Take us behind the curtain of Summer League. I know it's a lot of money for these guys, especially, a lot of these guys the first time having real money. Do the guys that are old enough really go out, or is it more of like a business environment? And then I also wonder, because it's Vegas and a lot of these high draft picks are so young, do people try to sneak in, or do they just kind of buckle down and hang out? Also, the card game euchre, culture or regional? All right, have a good one, guys.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate the love. Nick representing the D, my hometown.
Shout out.
I'm glad, again, I got my good friend Joesph in studio to help me go through these calls. I'll answer the part initially about NBA Summer League in Las Vegas. So first and foremost, these are players that are either rookies or free agents. They're trying to make the team. If you're trying to champagne and campaign at the same time, you're not trying to really make the team. That's just not smart. You don't have the latitude in any way, shape, or form to be trying to get it in. And one of the lessons I learned, and please correct me if I'm wrong, when you travel on company dime, then you have to behave on company time. If they buy your hotel, if they buy your plane ticket, then you got to act accordingly versus when you buy it. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, 100%. It's called a parent company for a reason. When you're living under somebody else's roof, I don't care. You imagine the amount of times they say, this is my house, you follow my rules, and it's their house.
Every other day.
And 100%, Jalen. Like if you are not out there hustling from sun up to sunset, and even before or after, you're not trying to win. I think of Manny Pacquiao when Freddie Roach said, "Hey, Manny, why don't you take the day off?" Because he said, "I don't know if the other guy's taking the day off. I'm not going to be the one taking the day off." So you got to get it in if you want to make that team.
I like that. Thank you, everybody, for the support. 7 years and running. We appreciate the love. Make sure you continue to leave your voicemails. Follow us on Twitter. Check out the show 3 p.m. on ESPN2 with multiple re-airs on ESPN. Yep. We're going to always, however, continue to give you a dope pod to step to.
We're not done. We're not done. Got to give the people time. Give people what they want.
They my little guys. I love them.